TikTok just got banned and Gen Z is grieving. God is good. So many of you know that we discussed it previously that TikTok actually got approved for a ban by the House of Representatives like a month or so ago. However, the bill stalled at the Senate. Well, that is no longer the case. And we'll go ahead and put this on the screen for you guys. As I said again, God is good. It doesn't happen in your time, but it does happen when He's ready for it to happen. And that looks like it's the case here now. So, as you guys can see, this article was published on April 20th, 2024, and it was updated on April 20th, 2024 at 3:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I find this to be really incredible. It is titled TikTok Ban Now Inevitable After House Overwhelmingly Passes Bill Forcing Sale. So you might say, okay, so this is the same crap before the House passed. This is the same bill that the House passed already, but it stalled in the Senate. Nope, this is not the same bill. It would be easy to believe that. That's incorrect. So let's go ahead and explain what happened here. The House actually passed a brand new bill, overwhelmingly voting to ban TikTok. So the House of Representatives has overwhelmingly passed a bill that will ban TikTok in the United States unless its Chinese owner divests from the company, making final passage into law inevitable, insiders say. The ban was tied to the vote on a $95 billion foreign aid package. So, and this is a package to help, the countries that are currently struggling overseas and has gotten comparatively little attention. The TikTok the TikTok bill passed a vote of 360 to 58. So this was a massive pass. It's unlikely it's going to stall in the Senate. The full aid bill has yet to be voted on, but is expected to pass. That's in the Senate. Roughly 150 Americans are on TikTok, and there have been growing fears among lawmakers about what influence its Chinese communist owners have on the company. In recent months, TikTok has headlines for promoting not so good things. After the events that happened overseas recently in the Middle East, the company has faced accusations of promoting various propaganda and turning younger Americans towards radical behavior. The forced sale of TikTok represents a bipartisan breakthrough against the CCP's most powerful tool of information against the United States. Representative Richie Torres, from Democrat from the Bronx, told the Post, "No longer will Congress stand by idly while the CCP freely weaponizes TikTok to corrupt the minds of young Americans, radicalize Americans against their country, and amplifies un American behavior on a scale at a pace not seen in human history." Following the bill's passage on Saturday, Tennessee teacher Amber Thomas posted a sob story about the detrimental effects the TikTok ban will have on her students. "I'm a teacher. I use TikTok Live to fund food and supplies for my students." The captions in a video read, tagging the Biden campaign account. "No other social media app can do this," it read. "My students have access to fresh food weekly because of our wonderful TikTok community. Cry me a river." You know, let Gen Z go down to a food pantry. I'm not crying for them. Oh, Gen Alpha. Both generations are trash. Wall Wall Street has been buzzing about who might purchase TikTok in the event of a forced divestment from its Chinese owner. ByteDance, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, and Oracle have all been floated. Hmm, have all been floated as possible suitors. Interesting, I don't see Alphabet there. Rumble, a scrappy, free speech oriented competitor to YouTube, has also been talked about as a possible buyer. That would be it would be kind of interesting if Rumble got access to it, although I just wanted to die. One obstacle is the sheer scales to purchase. The social media company has been valued in the past as worth up to 50 billion. It'd be, it kind of looks like, imagine if Elon had gotten this thing. Honestly, again, I just wanted to die. In Could you imagine if Elon ended up buying TikTok though? like the two most toxic platforms on the internet, Twitter and TikTok. Oh God. In March, the House passed a similar TikTok bill, which moved through the chamber in a broad bipartisan majority. That effort, however, has been stalled in the Democratic Senate, where Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has so far refused to bring the measure up for a vote. The Senate leader said he would get to the matter eventually. Schumer has in the past vigorously supported efforts to curtail the influence of TikTok. A U.S. company should buy TikTok so everyone can keep using it and your data is safe. Here on X in an X post back in 2020. This is about our privacy. So, with the TikTok ban now buried in the foreign aid package, widely considered urgent, must pass legislation, the Senate will likely have no choice but to take up the measure. The Senate leaders have promised to move the measure swiftly and get it to President Biden for his signature. The ban was inevitable. It was just how we would get there that was for debate, said one Senate insider. TikTok did a horrible job fighting for its corporate life. The new TikTok ban will allow the company 9 months, extendable to a year, by the president to divest or face a nationwide ban, meaning its full consequences won't come into force until after the 2024 presidential election. The House's previous TikTok legislation would have only allowed a 6-month window. Democrats, in particular, rely on TikTok to mobilize younger voters to the polls. Other TikTokers also reacted with dismay at the news. One user, Hundo Grand, railed in a live stream against lawmakers voting to ban TikTok. The social media influencer has over 1.2 million followers. That's nothing special on TikTok. Griped that legislators banned the app because the United States doesn't have its grubby little paws on it. Well, here's the thing, guys. It was only a matter of time before this happened. It was only a matter of time before TikTok got banned. It was just how we would end up getting here. And as you guys can see, we're now almost here. TikTok is almost banned. It's good, and it's likely to happen very, very soon. So the ban is likely to go into effect maybe even next week. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. And no one's only the Gen Z idiots and some younger millennials are crying over it. Most other people aren't crying over it. you know and this is good. Anything to make Gen Z suffer a little bit makes me happy, and Gen Alpha for that matter. I don't like either of these generations, and I feel really good knowing that I'm very close to skipping over the possibility of ever having children in any of these generations if I do ever have children. you know and that makes me feel good, like knowing that I think that generation beta may actually end up to be, at least some of them may end up to be growing up to be decent people. And the reason why I say that is because, and I kind of grieve for Gen Beta, but I think they're going to suffer a lot. I think Generation Beta is going to have very hard times. The boomers were kind of cheap. They weren't that great to their kids. They were real stingy. They were a very stingy generation. Even though they got everything they wanted, they were very stingy when it came to their kids because they were more focused on themselves. And the crazy thing about it is that what I've realized is that Gen Z, though the few of them that will actually have children, they're going to be very, very stingy as well. You can see it already. How do you know this? They are a generation that got everything, well, I shouldn't say everything they wanted, but they grew up with social media, believing that they were entitled to everything. If you look at the way that they live like pigs. They live like pigs. Okay? So they're going to be very, very stingy when it comes to money. They're not going to want to spend money on their kids because they're too worried about themselves. The center of their lives is money. And when you're dealing with people like that, whom the center of their lives is money, they're going to be very stingy when it comes to spending money on others. And Gen Beta is going to really struggle. because you know Gen Gen Z is a crappy generation, and then also when it comes to Gen Beta is going to be a strange generation because many of the parents of Gen Beta are going to it's going to be very diverse when it comes to the parents of Gen Beta. A lot of millennials will be parents of Gen Beta. Quite a few Gen Xers will be parents of Gen Beta, and it's just going to be very strange because while Gen Alpha are supposed to be the children of the millennials, the crazy thing is that a lot of millennials didn't have children in the first place. A lot of millennials completely have avoided parenthood, and that's the case with a lot of sub Gen Xers as well. As a result of that, you're going to see kind of you're going to see a big divergence where a lot of the parents of Gen Beta will be millennials. They'll be millennials, not just younger millennials, but also older millennials. It will be members of Gen X, and then sub members of uh, of Gen Z. And Gen Z is going to be very stingy, and then on top of that, when it comes to Gen X and millennials, many of these people who have children, they're going to look at Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and they're going to say these people are terrible. And as a result of that, I think that's going to result in these people saying, yeah, we don't want to spoil them too much. If they want something, they're gonna have to work for it, just because and it's good. And then of course there's a lot of hard economic times happening right now. Gen Beta is going to grow up in one of the worst economic periods in history. And when I say worst economic periods in history, I mean worse than the Great Recession, probably as bad as the Great Depression. I honestly, history. They say history repeats itself, and just like how there was a thing that happened back in like 1919, 1918 or 19, right around the same time, 100 years ago, almost 100 years later, something similar happened. If you know what I'm talking about, the events of 2020, something similar happened almost roughly 100 years earlier, and I suspect that we're going to have something similar happen when it comes to the Great Depression. The Great Depression occurred in 1929. And for most of you that don't realize it, we're only 5 years away from 1929, 6 years away from 1930. And I think it's highly probable, it doesn't necessarily need to take that long, that we'll probably see a depression. And it's going to be, I called it many years ago, I called it the everything bubble, where it's going to basically bankruptcies, everything is going to go bankrupt. Everything is going to go bankrupt, and there won't be any way of bailing it out. America will have no way of bailing itself out of this because there's no money. And the solution has always been to just print more money, you know, and then sell the debt to other countries, and that's not going to work this time because the rest of the world is going to be in an economic crisis. China they've been it's been said that they've been manipulating their currency for years, and we see the consequences of just printing money out of thin air. So if we're in an economic crisis right now with hyperinflation. This is hyperinflation, and the cause of it has been printing all of this funny money. And when we start to see, a collapse of the monetary system, and basically the great bankruptcy, maybe that's what the great bank, they call it we had the Great Depression. This is maybe the great bankruptcy, and the everything bubble collapse, everything bubble pops. A lot of companies are going to go down. Some very big companies that we did not expect to collapse will likely collapse, just because things are not going as well as we expected. A lot of big banks are going to collapse, and the US government is going to be between a rock and a hard place because if it needs to take $1 trillion to bail these banks out, that's more hyperinflation. You know, if it needs to, and it's going to, to fix this, to stop all of this hemorrhaging, it's going to cost trillions of dollars. But the more money you print, the less valuable the money becomes, and it's basically like using debt to pay for debt, which will potentially only accelerate the decline. It's insane. The only way to stop it will, or try to even, or at least prevent it from getting worse by the day, will be to avoid printing money and working with what you have. Although you don't really have much to work with there. So it's going to be really, really bad. It's going to be really, really bad. It's going to be horrible for the Gen Zers, but who really gives a damn about them? Because they're not good people. Guys, don't forget I have a channel called Angry where I discuss gaming, anime, geek stuff, nerd stuff, and real world stuff and whatever else interests me. There's a link to a description of the video. Go check it out, subscribe to the channel, support my work, enjoy the content. Also, if you're enjoying the content on this channel and you want even more of this content, head over to my other channel called Men Walking Away. I post daily videos there. So if you want even more Angry Guy content, you want even more videos like the one you're watching, head over to the Men Walking Away channel. There's a link to it in the description of the video. Go subscribe to the channel, support my work, enjoy the content. What do you guys think regarding this? TikTok just got banned and Gen Z is grieving. Good. I really don't like those scumbags. And Gen Alpha, of course, will be pissed off too. And that's just another plus. Let me know your thoughts on this and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA and walking away. And cheers.